guys, it's Tuesday, 12 o'clock Central. I'm Trisha Turner. This is Anything But Average, Achieving Success in Life. I got my good friend Renee with me today, and here's what we're doing. So as y'all know, like the moral of this podcast every week, we've been doing this consistently, except for last week because there was a baby that was born during this time frame, so we skipped it. But we do this consistently on Tuesdays at 12 to bring you positivity, bring you success stories, not just in the real estate world, but in any industry, because this world's filled with negativity. And so the month of May, of course, is Mother's Day is in there. And so I thought, let's kind of go with a theme during May to bring on successful moms that I know that are killing it in their personal life and in real estate. And so got to have Renee on here. So welcome, Renee.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited. And how perfect that you had a baby born on the very day that you go live with these things. It just, again, and happening in May, Mother's Day, like it just made sense. You know, life's full of interruptions when babies and kids are involved. And boy, did that show up, right?
It did. And just to clear the record, I didn't have a baby. Neither did Renee. So just to let you guys know, my son had his first kid and he didn't. His wife did, actually. That's how that all played into that. So make no mistakes there. But I want to kind of let everybody know, if you don't know Renee, you need to, because she's freaking full of life and she's awesome. So Renee, if you could just let's let everybody know where you are in the world, what you do for a living, how long you've been doing it, and how many kids you have. Let's do that.
Perfect. So I am Renee Velasquez. I am a realtor. I've been a realtor since 2008, and my business is in Northeast Ohio. What's Northeast Ohio? We say Cleveland. So I specialize in the suburbs of the Cleveland market in Northeast Ohio. And I have 3 children. I have a soon-to-be 20-year-old in college. I have a soon-to-be 11-year-old who will go from the 4th to the 5th grade. And then I have my 7-year-old daughter who is going to be going into the 2nd grade. And I think she thinks she's 30. So.
And so in 2008, you got your license, you started real estate. That was also when the mortgage industry crashed. How hard was that getting started in real estate then?
Woo! So everybody looked at me like I had 4 heads when I said, hey, I'm going to leave corporate America and I'm going to get my real estate license. They're like, what? But really the impetus to that was we started investing in properties, and I had purchased like 3 properties from the same real estate agents. And they're like, hey, why don't you get your license? Like, we just pretty much opened the door for you. Yes, they helped me write contracts and stuff, but over time as an investor, you're like, hey, this is what I want. This is my max. You know what I mean? So like, why don't you get your license? And I'm like, well, I work 60 hours a week. At the time, I was basically a single mom. My husband was on the other side of the planet fighting the war. And I'm like, I work 60 hours a week. I've got this little guy at home that I don't see on the regular basis. I'm like, I do not have time to get my real estate license. And then, like all things happened in 2007, 2008, 2009, there was a ton of corporate layoffs, tons of companies that just shed workforce. And I was part of that. My company got bought out by another company, and they did not renew any of our contracts. They were kind of starting out new. So when that happened, I had a little bit of a severance, and I was like, well, I guess I am going to go get my real estate license. So I did. And that was great. And then the company that did not renew my contract called me and said, hey, we just needed to let the dust settle. We actually do want you to come and work for us again. And like creatures of habit, we gravitate towards comfort, right? That was comfortable. I knew my job inside and out. So I immediately was like, okay, I'll come back.
Wow.
And I went right back into that situation and was still working 60 hours a week to build someone else's empire. And my son, my little guy, like all he knew was this. I was constantly on the phone, constantly saying, just 1 minute. He became very an independent child, which is great, but definitely not the bond that I wanted to have with my son. I wanted to be part of his life. And so I decided that I was going to quit that job. And if I took those same 60 hours and put it into building my own empire, what could that potentially look like? And now granted, I did not want to work 60 hours, but just the methodology behind that was I'm doing
Yeah.
60 hours a week here. Why not do it for myself? I took some time off and reintroduced myself to my son, which was I have this amazing little person living in my house that I got to get up in the morning, and I picked him up at daycare. And by the time I picked him up, I fed him dinner, I bathed him, and I put him to bed. So we just, so I got to reintroduce myself to that amazing little guy who is now almost 20. And that was amazing. And then I just, I was an investor. We started purchasing properties prior to those real estate agents. And they kind of helped me along the way in terms of me growing my real estate business. And I had a full-fledged real estate business before I knew it, because people found out that I had my license, which I just wanted for my own investment purposes. And it turned into a thriving real estate business. And that, so I got through arguably one of the worst times to get into real estate.
Yeah.
But I thought if I learned how to sell real estate then, when everybody was underwater, when people were losing their jobs, I could sell real estate anytime. And knock on wood, that's proven correct. Is that I've been able to weather the storms and even get through this challenging market, which is challenging in a different way.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
So in 8, 9, and 10, you went back to corporate America and then you left again. Did you keep buying investment properties during that time too?
So we did. And that math gets a little fuzzy after you're talking about 2008, 2009. You're like, I think I almost blocked some of it out.
For sure.
But yeah, we did still continue investing. We have flipped properties. We have buy and hold rentals. My own personal home that I had originally purchased as effectively a single mom, I still have. Those tenants still are in that same property. They've been with us for almost 15 years. And
the same tenants have been there for 15 years?
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, people believe they own the house. And I'm totally fine with it, as long as, the check clears on the monthly basis. And
so we've continued to raise their rent regularly.
So we've done some rent increases, not as quickly as the market changed, but for me, you need to look at that too. You need to look at your vacancy rates and say, hey, does it make sense for me to raise the rate to a certain monthly rent and then potentially have vacancy for a period of time? Or do I just raise it incrementally and keep it 100% occupied over time? Does that math make sense? And for that particular property, that math made sense. And honestly, for several of our properties, we have long-term tenants in there. We also have properties with very, very, very short-term tenants now, because we've expanded into the short-term, quote unquote, Airbnb, VRBO world. So, yeah.
So how many properties do you guys have right now in your portfolio?
So right now we only have 10 doors in our inventory. 6 out of the 10 are long-term, and then 4 out of the 10 are short-term Airbnb, VRBO. We have bought some, sold some, equitied out of some. So right now that's our current inventory, but actively looking to scale that business because we've been so successful, over the last couple of years. We actually got into the short-term rental business right before COVID.
I was going to ask you where that came from and why.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I'll try to keep it brief, but I had watched somebody on Facebook that had a short-term rental. When I thought of Airbnb or VRBO, I immediately thought vacation spots. That's what resonated with me with those terms. And here was somebody living just a couple towns over locally that had a house that she was renting out short-term wise. And I was like, and that's interesting. And then kind of saw some of the math that was happening there as well. And I was like, wow, this is an actual viable situation. So I had a conversation with we ended up at a graduation party, and the people that owned this short-term rental were there. And I'm like, hey, hubby, go over and talk to those people. And he's like, I don't know them. What am I? I'm like, ask them what they're doing with the house next door to them. And he's like, well, that's creepy. I'm like, no, just ask. So he did. And then he created a monster. He dove right in, started, finding every bit of information he could on short-term rentals and what that looked like. And so we had a vacancy in one of our our long-term rentals. And we said, hey, what a great opportunity to test the market on the short-term rental situation. So that was in 2018, 2019, actually. So we knew that we were gonna have to do some rehab anyway there. So we started rehabbing it, and then we decided to furnish it, and we went live on that property as an Airbnb short-term rental. And then 2 days, and we ended up getting a bunch of bookings. We're like, holy crap, this is awesome.
So is it a house? Is it a condo? What is it?
It's a single family home.
Okay.
And we kind of specialized in some quirky properties. And by quirky, I just mean like most of the houses we had, like they would have gravel driveways, no garages, more challenge, but they made sense for rentals, right? So we took this property. So it's a single family home. It had no driveway, no garage. It's actually a single family non-conforming use. So it's a single family home on a commercial lot. So all kinds of things going on with the property.
Crap.
Yeah. So, and it was next to a brick building. There's a bank behind it. I'm like, this is perfect for an Airbnb, because if you're staying at a hotel, you're in a commercialized environment anyway. Didn't really matter. So we had all these bookings, or consistent bookings. And the next thing you know, COVID hit and canceled them all. Like, dead in the water, like never even got someone to stay. It was just completely dead in the water. And we're like, oh, shoot. Right. We're like, what do we do now? And lo and behold, so everybody canceled, and we had someone reach out several weeks later and asked to book. And we're like, this is interesting. Here it was a couple who had this great vacation planned, and their vacation got canceled because travel got, all shut down. And they said, well, we were going to spend the money on this extravagant 2-week vacation. We're going to take that money that we saved, and we're going to spend a month in your short-term rental. So they got to play house. Yeah, they got to play house in my short-term rental for 30 days. And I'm like, wow, that's a whole business too.
Right.
Like, you get to play house and test the waters there, see if you without formally committing. I'm like,
right. Wow. I like that.
Yeah. So that would have saved me a lot of time. I'll tell you that.
Heck yeah.
But they stayed with us. And then next thing you know, we had a big storm that happened that caused a lot of hail damage on roofs, and shingles ripping off and whatever. So when those people left, we had a roofing company, some roofing adjusters or roofing companies stay with us, and they were effectively storm chasing. But they're all commissioned based. So they wanted an Airbnb because they could make their peanut butter and jellies, like cook their frozen pizzas, like keep their expenses low and still reap the benefits of being local and being able to go into those neighborhoods and talk about getting roof repairs or roof replacements for them.
Sure.
So those were our next people. So it was just a very bizarre dynamic on who started staying with us. Then after that, we had people booking to stay with us because they were so fearful of staying with their family.
Okay.
Because we were in the height of the COVID situation. It was very weird. Nobody understood it, knew how it was transmitted, all of those things. So we had people that were driving. They weren't flying because they couldn't, but they were driving, and they opted to stay in our properties versus going into their family homes and potentially putting them at risk or themselves at risk. So what we thought was going to be absolutely devastating to that business model, it actually created this whole, it just ended up working out, right? So we went from, oh, this is great, to, oh, shoot, to, oh, this works again.
That's crazy.
And we rode that roller coaster, which we often do as realtors when market shifts, when we're brand new getting into the business, and then we're a little bit more seasoned. And then, when you're a seasoned real estate agent, you start getting referrals. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden your referrals dry up because you're too busy taking, servicing that business. And we ride that roller coaster, right? So no different in that particular type of business as well. So, and the whole time I'm trying to homeschool kids. Which is a whole another ball of wax. I've got I sent one to kindergarten that year, and I sent one to college that year in 2020. And don't ask me how that happened. Sending a child to college and another one going in kindergarten, I'm like, they do not make enough medication or alcohol to numb that feeling.
Yeah. That's long term there.
Yeah, you just do a lot of praying to God, right? You just comes in and says, okay, I'm going to take this hurt away from you. But yeah, so I have this child that had to go through graduating and not get a prom, not get anything. Like, we had a graduation on a field, which was great, on a football field. I'm grateful that we had that, at least that experience, because others, they were individually going into a gym, walking across a stage, taking a picture, and that was the extent of their graduation.
Right. That sucked.
But my child still felt very robbed. And then we had to send him to a college that we weren't even able to visit because they cut off all the college visits. So very interesting times, to say the least. When you talk about being a mom, being a business owner, of multiple businesses, it was, boy, it's been a ride. It's been an absolute ride. So you figure out very quickly what your strengths are. You figure out very quickly what your weaknesses are. And then you just seek leverage to fill in those voids where you have those weaknesses.
Yeah.
And I think as parents, as mothers, especially, we have a hard time with recognizing weaknesses, right? We don't want anybody to see that we have a weakness because we're mighty and we're powerful and we're driven women and I will not fail, right? Mm-hmm. But the reality of it is, every one of us has an Achilles heel. Every one of us has doubts about ourselves. Every one of us allows those negative thoughts to penetrate our brains. As you said in the top of this, that, there's so much negativity out there. It is very easy to become a absorber of that negativity. And we need to walk around with this big shield. But what I quickly realized was, those weaknesses is okay. You're not built to be perfect in every aspect. You're just not. No one on the face of the planet is built to be perfect in every aspect. You are meant to have weaknesses. You are meant to have flaws. You are meant to have things that you're just not good at. Yeah. And that's what allows us to have the most amazing relationships with people and the most amazing thriving businesses, is to recognize those and then fill your world with the people that make the whole thing be a well-oiled machine, right?
Yeah, I love that. So as you went through like many different phases of real estate, you're in sales still, correct?
I am. I'm still actively selling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inventory is tight. You guys you're feeling it there in Ohio, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I mean, I live in not huge towns. I live in a small town, but then the town I grew up with is about 4 times the size of the town that I currently live in. And I mean, when I say the market, like, we would literally have 2 active homes on the market too. Is that the most insane thing you've ever heard? Yeah.
Yes.
2. So when you say tight, it is tight.
Because then you think, okay, if there's only 2 homes to sell, you're not the only real estate agent. So somebody's going to sell these 2 homes, and there's a bunch of people that aren't selling any, and a bunch of buyers that aren't able to buy anything. That's hard, and that's what people don't realize.
It is. It is. Which is why I'm such a huge proponent on multiple income streams, is that if we become completely reliant on one particular job, one particular lane, when that shifts or changes, we're left with just that. We don't have any way to pivot, which is why investing was so important to me back, prior to getting into real estate, because my husband was in the military. He was actively fighting a war. He's a master bomb tech. So he was in the desert disarming bombs, disarming roadsides.
That's insane. I did not know that. That is cool as crap.
There's a reason my hair is purple. It's to cover up all the gray that was there, right? I could have embraced it and went with it, but no, I'm like,
how long is he still in the military?
He is not. He did get out. In fact, he got out in 2009, which is what allowed us to continue to purchase and build the investment portfolio and kind of change it along the ways. And he's been a huge pivotal part in doing that. And now it's become a great part, of our businesses, because we have different business models. So when something gets a little tight, we have something to fall back on. And I don't want to say a plan B. I struggle sometimes with plan Bs because it prevents you from going all in on specific things. But we're all in in all of the things, right?
Yeah.
So it's still real estate related, but just another, we truly believe that real estate is a vehicle, not a building
Yes.
or structure. It is a vehicle to get to wealth and freedom.
So is he in the business with you in the real estate
Yeah,
side?
so he is not a licensed realtor. We've had that push-pull
Yeah.
argument a lot. And by argument, I mean, it's a discussion. I'm very protective of my world here that I've built because I did start building it when he was on the other side of the planet, fighting a war. And as a strong female, I struggle with the thought of someone coming in after I've put in, 14, 15 years of hard work and then claiming it as their own, which is very unfair to him. But I'm being very transparent. If I know anything about Trisha Turner, she is not going to let me be all closed off and guarded. She's want to get into the soup and nuts.
Yeah, let's go there.
Right. So
Yeah.
I do have some mental struggles with seeing that because it's my baby and I built it and which again is unfair to him. I mean, he could come in and be this amazing person that helps level up and scale it and take it to places because I simply cannot wear all the hats.
No.
But boy, is it a struggle to consider working with someone day in and day out, spending the home life day in and day out. It's a struggle. So God bless those of you watching or that will watch this. If you're doing that, God bless you. And who knows, I might be knocking on your door for advice. And we do work very closely together on the investment properties. We really do. We both have our lanes and our pieces that we do. But it's just been something that's been really difficult for me to let go of the baby that I've built.
Have you read the book Traction or the EOS model or Rocket Fuel or any of them?
I have. I have Rocket Fuel more than once.
Yep, I love that book. So in that book, you guys, it talks about roles and who does what and how to have like harmony. And it talks about being a visionary and being an integrator. And that and it talks about like scaling and building businesses. And if you're a visionary, you're always building something. You're never satisfied. You're always in build mode. You're always looking at the next thing. Now we're going to do this and now we're doing this. And you can get involved in a multitude of things and you'll always be successful. But if you don't have an integrator, it'll take you like eons to get there. And it's a struggle. The struggle is very real. But then when you find that integrator, it's like that missing link. It's like, holy crap, all the things that I'm weak at and I suck at, this person's great at. And then when you bring them together, it's like, wow. So when you know that model, and I believe I know what you are, but which role do you think you are, the visionary or the integrator?
Definitely visionary. Definitely visionary.
Yep.
I don't like to pause to do. Don't get me wrong. I have this piece of me that does get into this analysis paralysis situation, but that's more of that whole. I've been put in a situation like my husband was at war. Like at any moment, I could have gotten that knock on the door, that dreaded knock on the door, and it paralyzes you because. But it also drove me to make some of the decisions I made. That's why I was so passionate about investing, because if I were to get that dreaded knock on the door, and again, those of you who are watching, if you've had to go through that or know someone that's had to go through that, just the prospect of that was devastating to me. And I knew that to have something in place, because if that were to happen, I knew that I couldn't be reliant on that income or that stability that brought me. So at any rate, I am the visionary and he does have integrator qualities. However, we're both very high D individuals. I'm very high D, high I. If those of you are watching that don't understand the DISC or what I'm referring to, that's what it is. It's a DISC profile. Highly encourage you look into it. It gives you some great insight as to why you are the way you are and who you are. But nonetheless, I think that's another thing is that he's always said, he goes, look, I really want to get involved in your business, but I want complete anonymity when we go home. I'm a very passionate person, and I don't know that I could grant anonymity and turn that, we kind of tend to eat, sleep, and breathe our businesses, right?
Yes.
As much as we try to be so well-rounded and shut it off and whatnot, it's just intrinsically part of us day in and day out. So I don't know that I have that off button to just go, oh, that was a work thing. We're at home now. It's different. No, if I'm pissed, I'm mad for the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we're going there. We're talking about it.
Right. So
Yes.
it's been it's a very interesting thing. So yeah, he's great at implementing some things, but he also has that very high D personality, and he's a bit of a visionary himself. So we're both alphas. And when you get two alphas in a room together, I mean, everybody looks at us and goes, wow, I don't even know how you guys have made it the number of years you have. And I'm like, it's because no one else will have us.
You have to. You're stuck like that, right?
We are, right? That sounds so sad, but
so then when you're growing these businesses like you have, so you've been in real estate doing sales and you have a team too. So how big is your team right now?
Very small. So but prior to coming to EXP, so I was with another brokerage for almost 10 years. So I had a little bit larger of a team and a business partner prior to that. So when he came over to EXP, we brought them with us, and then we just realized that the partnership wasn't working. So I made the decision at that point that I was going to go down to solo agent and get down to brass tacks and grassroots, and look at this at the perspective of an individual agent at the EXP model and what that looks like. Over time, people will naturally gravitate towards you if you are doing business and you kind of look like you've got your stuff together. People will be like, hey, how do I get in your world? How do I be part of that? So organically, the team started being built, but there's still just us 4/5 agents. One of the agents has decided to take a step back a little bit, but actively people calling saying, hey, how do I get into real estate? Would you be open to me being on your team? Things like that. So there's only the 4 of us. We have an admin who tries to herd us cats because real estate agents are cats. Yeah. So we kind of just started over building the model within this particular model, which was it's very interesting when you work with such a forward-thinking company. The way that you built your team or came together previously, although still works, you definitely need to tweak that model a little bit so that it makes sense for all. And that's all part of the learning curve, right?
Like when you look back at real estate, because you've been doing it for a long time too, the solo agent was the model for so long. That's just what everybody was. And then gradually it was like small teams, like 2 teams or husband and wife team, something very small. And then it grew a little bit more. And then it was like 4 and 5 people. Now you've got these mega teams that are taking over, like mega teams. I have one here in Houston. They're almost like a brokerage within the EXP brokerage. It's what it basically turns into. And so when you look at it, it's very stressful to run one of those. It's very expensive to run one of those. And when you kind of think back, it's like, it was a lot simpler when I could just do me or 1 or 2 other people. And it was a lot more profitable. But my belief is that we do have a choice. We have a choice to either remain that way, or we can do, like you just talked about, being forward thinking and being innovative and being like, okay, I know what the industry is turning into. If I don't go this way, am I going to be obsolete in 3 to 5 years? And are these agents that are with me going to be obsolete? So for me, that's one of the reasons why I maintain us and we continue to grow, is because I feel like I have to. It's my responsibility. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. So I think there's multiple ways to skin a cat, if you will. And I hate that term. I hope nobody's skinning cats out there, but there's multiple ways to do business, right? And first and foremost, whatever way you choose needs to feel right for you. Because if you truly have no interest in leading a large group of people, and that's just not where your passion lies, then even if you feel like you have to, it's not going to work out in your favor, because it's naturally not something that you want to do. So you really need to take a hard look. And I see agents struggle with that all the time. They're like, well, I'm supposed to start off as an individual, and then I'm supposed to start building this team, and I'm supposed to get so big. And some of it's ego driven.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then, some actually see the business benefits of it, but regardless, you need to make that decision for yourself on what does the goal look like for me? If leading 25, 30, 50, 60 people does not feel like something you want to do, then that's not the direction you should go. There are
No.
definitely some benefits to, first and foremost, being an individual agent selling property is going to be your most profitable way to make your money. It's the most profitable way.
Yep.
Then you have your small teams, which isn't necessarily the most profitable, but you can stay pretty profitable with the smaller team. But then you're really going to have to look at, do I have the core capital and the ability to scale the right way and get the right people in place? And most people would just want to add agents.
Oh yeah.
Don't want to add the infrastructure where they actually have to hire people to help the agent. So they tend to do it a little backwards. Let me just take all these team members and I've got this great team, but then the infrastructure just isn't there. And then stuff starts to, fall over. So I love the idea of a mega team. I think and that's where you reach scale and you're like, now I can actually get out of production, be part of growing other people's business.
Yes.
That's where some people especially in the mega teams, that's where their cup gets filled.
Yep.
Right. They love being part of that growth and being part of watching and helping someone grow themselves, because I know that's something for me it fills my cup, is that if I get to whatever my definition of success is, and that's another thing, people determine success by so many other people around them.
Yeah.
The success is what they have. That's success. Bullcrap. That's success for them. You need to define your own definition of success, what that looks like, and deciding the direction that you want to go. Reaching scale and being able to get out of production and be part of that fills people's cup. That fills my cup. When I get to my level of success, I want to look right, I want to look left, and I want to have friends that are there with me.
Oh yeah.
Because what else is the point, right? Why do I want to? I see so many people like, oh, I sold 200 homes this year. I sold 500 homes this year. And then if we were to really look at their bank account, they're broke.
Yes.
They're struggling to make their mortgage payments. Yes. The big, beautiful car that they have, it's about to get repoed. That is not a life I want to live.
No, that's stressful.
Yes.
And I think with the real estate world, I don't know, because I've worked at every big box company out there. I've had my own company. So it's like, I pay attention to that stuff. And I always tell people, you have to pay attention to who you're paying attention to. And I watch these people and their numbers and their production and all that. It's like, at what point are you got to grow, I believe. And like Glenn Sanford says, if you're not growing, you're rotting. I think for one, I don't ever plan on retiring because I would be bored out of my mind. But for two, I believe that when we have a mindset like we do, and you are the same way, that we do want to help other people be successful, and we do get fulfillment from that. And I think when you have that kind of mindset, and then as our kids get older, like my kids are now part of the company. My son, who just had his first kid, he's inside sales. His wife, they both work for the company. My daughter, who's 19, we have a staging company. Her and her boyfriend do signs and staging. And they run the moving truck. So it's like they're involved in it now. And so then when you get that aspect of it, it's like, well, crap, now I really want to blow it up even more, because now it leaves a mark in their lives, And so it's like, and you can't do that unless you're willing to go all in, like you said, and then be forward thinking, like you said.
100%. And I think that's, again, as being moms, I have a soon-to-be 20-year-old who is pursuing his own dreams and his own aspirations. And, you can watch your kids go the college route because they had it pounded and pounded and pounded in their heads that they need to go to college, they need to get their degree. And now we're seeing this huge shift in kids that are getting into the trades. We have a void, first of all. We have skilled tradesmen that are actually aging out of those skills and those trades, and they have nobody to pass that skill set onto, because for the longest time it was like, I'm going to go make video games for a living and be a YouTube star for a living, right? Yeah. And no knock on the video gamers and the YouTube stars, but now we have this huge void of skilled tradesmen. So now the kids that are getting into those are prospering because it's a huge void, right? So you're looking at these kids going, I don't know, should they go to college? Should they get into the trades? Whatever. And the truth is they need to get into whatever it is that it is their passion, and what makes sense for them and what their success looks like. Don't get me wrong. I look at my 20-year-old all day and I'm like, this guy would kill it in the real estate field.
I
Like,
bet.
he's personable. He's smart as a whip. He has some technical skills in terms of video and all this stuff, but it's not his dream. It's not his passion. So
Yeah.
as a parent, I'd be like, okay, I see all this talent in you for this, but you want to go do that. Okay. All right. Right. Because we all did it. We all had to screw up, land on our, on our faces and make the messes. And as parents today, we want to pick them up and carry them and place them gently into, right? We immediately go into that mother, I'll take care of it and let's get going. But the reality of it is they got to fall flat on their faces and do whatever. Not that I want my son to fall flat on the face. I hope and pray that he knocks it out of the park in what he wants to do. But being a mom's tough.
It's super tough. Do you see any of your kids talking about real estate, getting in, besides like probably going on showings and stuff with you? Do you see any future of them being in the company with you?
Yeah, it's super funny. There's such a huge age gap. I don't know who let me do that, but
That was crazy.
One going to college and one going to kindergarten. There's a 9-year gap between the oldest and the next youngest child, and but they often, even my oldest, he's like, if this doesn't work out, he's like, I may even just get my license, to help out, or his own investment purposes, things like that. My kids, of course, when they see your name and your picture on a sign, you're automatically famous when you're 7, right? So that's always, Mom, yep, I'm either going to be a doctor or a realtor when I grow up. Like, great.
Because I want my name on that sign in my picture.
Right, that's exactly.
Like,
yes, see the doctors with their names on signs. What's up with that?
But you have one,
Yeah.
So with our real estate market being in the housing inventory shortage, like we've been in there in Ohio, have you guys kind of put like a stop on buying investment properties right now as we kind of have no inventory, or are you guys still heavily looking?
Yeah, that's interesting that you asked that. So on the investment side, I have seen, tons of investors like unload inventory, in cash, whatever. To me, you can buy real estate in any market. There's opportunity anywhere. If the numbers make sense, then buy. I added 4 doors to our portfolio last year in 2021, and prices were
high
up there, right?
Oh yeah.
But the right opportunity came around, and we executed, and blessed that we did. We saw what was coming. We equitied out of some of the properties that we currently had, and therefore had the cash to purchase these other doors. And that's so. Have we slowed? Sure. Because the opportunities are a little bit more sparse, but those who are actively investing and making the calls on the daily and knocking on the doors and sending the mailers, they're still killing it out there. Yep. There's still deals to be had. There's still stuff that can happen. So, with the businesses that we run, though, we're always looking for opportunities. And guess what? When you talk about that and you put that out in the universe, people find you. They call you and say, hey, I've got this thing. I'm not sure, would you be interested in it? And we get those kind of calls.
Yeah.
So it sounds a little bit like playing in traffic, but it really isn't, because we're purposeful about the message we put out there. So I'm not having to knock on the doors and send the mailers and make the calls, because, people know that we actively invest, and they see our stuff and they say, hey, I've got this opportunity. Might you, have interest in it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of been our philosophy. And now we're doing partnerships with people. If people want to get involved in short-term rentals, there's partnership situations that we can look at. So it's just always being looking to pivot. Like my old business model in real estate, it was the previous model that it was the only thing we knew.
Yeah.
And effectively, by bringing that business to the EXP model, we're still selling real estate. We're just being compensated in a much different way, and we're being compensated through multiple income streams. So just like that, we took our previous ways that we invested in property with long-term rentals, flips, things like that. and just took it and put it in a different type model to increase revenue, to effectively be able to short-term rent properties where effectively the revenue we're bringing in is like adding another door or two per one door because of the amount of revenue that comes in off of that. So it's just taking what you've already done and just tweaking the model a little bit, pivoting just a little bit, and being open to do that, right? I'm sure you see it all the time. You've got people in your marketplace that are doing business the same exact way they've done it forever, right?
Yes.
And some are still super successful at it because they've built this mega database and they've stayed in touch with those clients so that there's no one else they're ever going to. But the thing that I'm seeing with those people is they have to keep opening the doors.
Oh yeah.
Because they've continued to sell real estate the same way.
Yes.
And that was the part. I'm like, I know that I do not want to be, actually, let me switch that. Maybe I do at 70 years old want to be opening a door and showing up, but it's going to be because I want to, not because I have to. And right now I'm seeing agents that absolutely have to, because without them turning the key and opening the door, they have no other sources of income.
And it's sad.
It is. So all I can say is, moms out there, you do not look at yourself as the empowered person that you truly are, and the true, y'all hold it down. Like, you guys do things that are the most amazing things on the planet, and you don't give yourself credit for doing them. And you don't look at yourself as running a business. I don't care if you are a stay-at-home mom, you are running a business, you are managing a checkbook, you are the scheduler, you are the hold everything together. That's why I think that what you're doing for the month of May is freaking amazing, because it's shining a light on all walks of life, all walks of business, and how truly just gritty we are, because we have the babies and we keep them safe and we figure out how to maintain their schedules, figure out how to maintain ours, and then we got to look pretty doing it too, right? Everybody wants us to look pretty. I'm like, there's days where I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's going to take a little bit more work this morning to pull that off.
Yes.
Right.
So as you look ahead, like for you as a mom, you as a businesswoman, what does the next 2-3 years look like for you? Like, are you going to continue growing? Are you going to buy more investment properties? What does it look like?
Yeah, it's a leverage, right? So that's what this next season of growth is to continue to analyze the hats that I have on, and getting rid of those hats and giving them to someone else, and creating opportunities for other people. I lived so long thinking that if I didn't wear all the hats, I was less of a person. Like, no, I should be able to handle all of this. And now, and that's the funny thing, is no matter what stage of business you're in, there's always hats that you should be giving off to someone else. Always. As you grow, always there should be hats that you're taking off and giving to someone else. So this next 3 years is going to be acknowledging the leverage that is needed to get to that next level. And everybody says that term, next level. It's like, next level is whatever you define it as being.
That's right.
Mine is to continue to be a positive impact in other people's lives, which is where that fills my cup, and still having revenue consistently coming in that enables me to drive that bus and to get my cup filled. And that's only going to happen with leverage. And that's the right people. And when I say leverage, I mean, that's on all fronts. Like, that's at home. Like, we all take pride in, like, hey, I cleaned my house. My house is so clean. My house is this. I'll tell you right now, if you were to come over my house right now, you'd be like, ooh, it is lived in, right? And that leverage could come in the way of a housekeeper. That leverage could come in the way of a driver. That leverage could come in a way of a person that watches your kids, and not 11 hours a day like I originally had to have happen. Maybe they come in a couple times a week, maybe whatever that looks like. Maybe it's fractional help, maybe it's full-time help. The problem is that when we think of leverage as business owners, we always relate it to business. And the reality of it is that leverage needs to be incorporated at home all the time, because I will tell you, I am not the best cleaner in the world, because for me, I just want to get it done and it's ridiculous. So it makes sense for me to have someone come to my house and clean.
Yes, 100%.
You know, and we just
Right.
get it in our head that, no, I'm Superwoman, I'm supposed to do all this stuff. No, you're not.
No, you're not. And it's like, why? Like, we're here, we got one shot. I'm not, like, in our house, we have 2 bull mastiffs, and they poop a lot. And it's like, it's a constant freaking battle to, like, did someone clean this backyard? Like, and so one of the agents here was like, there's a company that scoops poop. And I'm like, what? And she's like, that's what they do for a living. They will come to your house whenever you tell them. They'll come on a schedule. They'll auto draft your account, and you never have to worry about it. Girl, that has been like the biggest piece. It's the cheapest thing too. I think it's $20 a month. He comes once a week. He texts me when he's about to be there, and he texts me when he's gone. He locks the gate. The backyard's always clean. It's like, I'll never ever bitch about the dogs pooping all over the place in the backyard again.
Yeah. So now you've solved argument time.
Yes.
You've solved stress over it. It's amazing. So I always want to leave somebody with a tip. So you just gave the poop scoop situation. I love that. So I was exposed to SudShare, and this tip came from actually Mary and Brian Murphy.
Okay, I love them.
Called SudShare, and you can Google it, and it'll come up, and it's people that will come and pick up your laundry. You leave it on the front step in a laundry basket. They take it, they wash it, they dry it, they fold it, they bring it back, put it back on your step in the same basket that you gave it to them with. So if you've got multiple family members, you have a basket for each one of them. They wash it, dry it, put it in that basket. So all you need to do is take it and put it away. Now I thought, wow, somebody's going to be doing my laundry. I couldn't get past it. But what if you just tried it? When you go on vacation and you come back from vacation and you've got all the dirty clothes inside your luggage, right? But then what happens? You got to go to work on Monday.
Right.
Ain't nobody got time to wash all the laundry that was in the. So if you're anything like me, God, I can't believe I'm being this transparent, but I end up with a suitcase that sits there
Me too.
for way too long with the clothes that I wore in it, because I just don't have time to get it out in the laundry and all the things. So what if you just that one time, instead of stressing over it, you went on to SudShare, found the person locally that does the laundry, and you just put that basket out just that time, and then on Monday it's just washed and dried and it's on your front porch, and you just take it in, and all you need to do is put it away. What if you took that one small step in saving yourself time, energy, and effort, and the personal failure that you feel about yourself because you're not getting it done and you're looking at a suitcase full of stuff? Like, what would that do to your psyche? And I'm telling you, it's affordable. I talked about it at the kitchen table with John Kitchens. We meet quarterly, and I mentioned it, and we had an agent that's exactly what they did. They came home from their trip. They did the SudShare, and she literally publicly posted, said, best thing ever.
Oh, I love that.
Little tips like that. And that's the stuff that we need to be sharing as moms and business owners, is like, hey, even if it's secret and on the down low, you just send us a private message going, hey, it's going to look like you did all this yourself, but you just need to do this and then have it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I'm all about that. So pooper scooper, you need to look at that if that's a problem in your world. Girl, I look at after the winter, like we get snow in my town. Our decks are the most nauseating things, there, because the dogs don't want to go out in the snow unless you got one of those. They just go out on the deck, and it's like the first place they can do it, they do it. And then spring comes and you're like, oh my God. And now you're having to retrain your dog to, like, you're not doing this on the deck anymore. It's summertime. Like, you need to. So that pooper scooper tip, that's like gold.
Look, it's like a game changer. I never have to worry about that. I can go out in the backyard. I don't have to worry about stepping in freaking poop all over the place. It's on the patio. It's not. It's gone.
Love it.
Look at that. And laundry, man, that's like I'm going to check into that for sure.
So here's the other thing. So for the moms and business owners, or even the stay-at-home moms, or whatever kind of mom you are, what if you're doing 10 loads of laundry a week anyway, because you've got these littles that you're doing, like, what if you actually Googled SudShare and you became one of the launderers? If you're doing laundry anyway and you feel like that's something you could do, that's a business opportunity for you, right? Look at the people that got into Uber driving, or got into, Uber Eats, or whatever the delivery things are. These are business opportunities that have been born out of people being overworked and not having the time to do that kind of stuff. So take advantage of that. That might be something that you could do and still be a stay-at-home mom, still be with your kids on the daily, but make additional income by doing that, something that you're doing every day anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that. Yes.
So
So moms do. This is what we do. This is why we're here every Tuesday at 12 o'clock. We share tips. Y'all have learned about poop. Y'all have learned about laundry. You've learned about all kinds of stuff.
I mean, we pretty much covered the gamut. So
We did.
But yeah,
I never get to see Renee enough because she's in freaking Ohio, but I am because we have events coming up where we're both going to be at. So yay for that.
Yes.
Because we have one in June. You're going to be there at Shareholders, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's right around the corner.
It is.
Hey, Renee, how can people find you if they want to learn more about you and more about this laundry thing and just have a conversation with you?
I so appreciate it. And by the way, I don't know much more about the laundry thing other than Google SudShare and go on there and get you somebody that does it, or Google them and say, hey, I want to be a launderer. And by launderer, I do not mean laundering money. I mean actual clothes. But yeah, so you can call me, you can text me, you can private message me. I am Renee at the RSVP group. I'm Renee at the RSVPgroup.com. I am 330-321-3339. I will not spell my last name because it is murderous. Like it's a triple word score on Scrabble. But you can always refer back to this and see the name on there. You can find me on all the socials, or just the RSVPgroup.com. Feel free to send me a message. So thank you so much for having me. I think you doing this is absolutely amazing. And I hope, if anything, you got pooper scooper advice and SudShare advice, and know that your definition of success should truly be that's yours, and stop comparing yourselves to anyone else. It's your journey.
And you also heard from Renee about investment opportunities, because again, if you're in the real estate industry, you may not have even sold a home yet this year because there aren't any homes to sell, but at least she has income coming in from all of her investment stuff, which passive income is what we should all be seeking.
Period. Absolutely. And we actually offer a 90-day fast track series where we actually coach and train individuals on how to get their first Airbnb or short-term rental up and running. Also be on the lookout, as there is legislation coming in. We have a big bill that is being put in front of the powers that be about short-term rentals, and that's starting to take place in areas around the country. So we may have to pivot again, but in the meantime, we are actively taking our talents and what we've learned in helping other people start building their portfolios. So if that's something that somebody wants to take advantage of, by all means, reach out. Again, it's a 90-day fast track to get you up and running on your first short-term rental. And there's several ways to do that. So yeah, just reach out.
I love that. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
You guys have an amazing day.
Yes, we'll talk soon. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.